Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Connected Communities Forum webinar hosted by the Wireless Broadband Alliance. My name is Tiago Rodrigues. I'm the CEO and President of the Wireless Broadband Alliance. So a big welcome once more to this Connected Communities Forum, CCF, as we used to call. We have a terrific agenda for today, focusing on public Wi-Fi and open roaming. Before I go through the agenda, I just want to share with you why the Wireless Broadband Alliance has been working on this group on connected communities. So for a group of players, including members and non-members and several municipalities and different communities, have coming together under the umbrella of the WBA to push for internet connectivity. So we believe connectivity, in particular broadband connectivity, is a civilization changer, is critical to improve life of the people, the type of services, the type of experience. It's a universal and global need that surpass any economic state, language, or location. So for us in WPA and under the umbrella of Connect Communities Forum, having this global connectivity infrastructure available to everyone is really fundamental and critical. On this Connected Communities Forum, we really want to follow these guiding principles. So we want to address and reduce the digital divide between different communities, improve the quality of life for everyone based on broadband connectivity, and as well build partnerships, collaboration between different types of players, exchange ideas, exchange experiences is fundamental as well as one of the principles of this group. Our overall objectives is really to make Wi-Fi connectivity more accessible, secure, and universal. Open roaming is part of that charter, and as well, we want to build and grow this community of different players, and we can all benefit from sharing information between us. Coming to the agenda for the day, I will have my colleague Bruno Tomas, the CTO of the Wireless Broadband Alliance, talking about open roaming, sharing the technical and business benefits of open roaming. Then we'll have two real case studies, one from the City of Westminster in London, and the other one from the city of Tokyo. And after that, we'll have a panel discussion where we'll discuss different topics, including, of course, the cases of the City of Westminster and Tokyo, and we'll open up to questions from all of you. And with this, without further delays, I will invite my colleague, Bruno Tomas, to take over off the screen and start this webinar. Thank you, everyone, and hope you enjoy this session today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Tiago. I'm just sending here the request to share my screen. So hopefully all of you can see it now. Okay, so yeah, good morning. I'm delighted to be here today at the Connected Communities Forum. As Tiago mentioned, I work as a CTO of the WBA. That means that over the years, I have the honor to work with many of the communities, IT managers, CIOs of cities globally. And it's an exciting time for the industry. So I'm thrilled to share how WBA is helping to shape the future of connectivity through the Open Roaming initiative here, but also many others. So I'll try to take you through how we are revolutionizing the Wi-Fi roaming experience for users, businesses, cities around the world. But let's start by looking at the bigger picture. The WBA technical roadmap that we define every year with the input from more than 200 members we have lined up here on our technical activities is designed to push the boundaries of wireless connectivity and technology across several key areas. As you can see, we are focused on enhancing experiences over Wi-Fi, but then we have working groups that focus on cellular technology, 5G, 6G, also IoT, new generations of wireless technology from the new standards that could be Wi-Fi 7, Wi-Fi 8, but then we have, of course, residential innovation also coming forward. You will see lots of roaming in our roadmap. And in the end, we hope this network automation helps to ensure we are meeting the demands of this highly connected world and urban spaces. Every single project, you can see it on the screen as a team, so a leadership team from the members and several contributors. They have a finite scope, so if you are interested, definitely you should contact us to engage on some of these. So our roadmap here is not about only creating new technologies, but also fast-tracking them and ensuring that they can work together seamlessly. For example, we are working to integrate Wi-Fi with 5G and IoT in ways we can make the management from the CIO IT manager perspective, smarter, faster, more reliable. We know that's a big problem. And then also solve coverage, bring higher speeds, less congestion. So whether, for these connected communities, you are a city, a rural, environment, or urban MDU type space, this can cater to your needs. And then we have several activities, vertical, forums like this connected community. You can see some of those down here. I'll just mention the innovation forum as a way to bring new requirements and innovation, and definitely something that you are invited to engage. But let's dive deeper. So what's exactly OpenRoaming? At its core, it's a global federation framework that enables automatic and secure Wi-Fi connectivity across millions of networks worldwide. As you can see, there is a technical foundation, so it's built on top of a cloud federation model that connects networks and identity providers. So Tiago shared this example that he was using London Wi-Fi ID on Tokyo City. So you can see city to city, but then we can have operator to city. So that's the first dimension. Everyone uses this cloud, automated cloud, to make connections between each other. So when you move from one network to the other, your device will automatically connect. And also, you don't need logins, additional steps that sometimes the call center will just, receive those complaints and emails that need to get solved. So the real power of OpenRoaming comes from this component, but also the cybersecurity that allows for secure connections. Every connection includes a certificate exchange that makes the information transported secure and also guarantees privacy. And last but not least, you will see that here on the automation, we use some roaming codes and also IDs that allows us to have a unified approach, and that reduces friction for users, citizens, but also businesses. As you can see, you will see here today, some of these cities are now also working with the private sector, and that's a big evolution. Just a note that we believe we need a joint federation, so we work with others such as EduRoam, CityRoam. They are part of the team, and we are all trying to make this work in a single plane. Then, what about the citizen? And you come here and you believe that whatever you do needs to be communicated well to the citizens. So perhaps there are two angles. One is perception and satisfaction. The other is what you get in return. So we know that for OpenRoaming to succeed, it must be smooth and provide a reliable user experience. So today, this is one example from a few networks, public networks in Singapore, that the operating system vendors, as you walk around, they will just tell you, look, if you are using an open SSID, if you are using some unsecure captive portal, I'll tell the citizens that this is not secure. So the brand gets compromised. On the other hand, if we move towards a secure Passpoint OpenRoaming experience, the operating system will tell the end user, yes, feel free to use your online shopping apps, maybe consult some of your banking account, because all the traffic is secured. So this really raises their confidence and makes it easier, not only for public Wi-Fi, but if they are at a cafe, at the public building or traveling internationally. And then top of mind. So you can create a relationship with the citizen using technology. We'll have a presentation here from 2 leading cities, but I believe that as these cities improve the relationship with citizens, their day-to-day lives will be better, and they will have a way then to provide you feedback and maybe comments on some technical roadmaps that they might have. The other angle is user engagement. We need to use, of course, connectivity as a means to an end. People want to get connected, but also there are important information that a city or an enterprise might want to talk, and share with the user. So for them to feel more engaged and connected, there is several ways now today. This is one example, which is the venue URL using some APIs that the technical term is Kport. But as long as the user is connected, they take the phone out of their pockets and they will have these standing notifications to visit a certain website. So from one day to the other, people can go from not connected or not being able really to use Wi-Fi because of some issues. So they connect freely, but they also engage with the local community, or they get some news about the next event on the city. Then we solve user perception. We give them some interaction, and that has a return on investment for the city. But we are working in the WBA also to go one step further. So let's focus here on quality of service. The worst thing that can happen is I have a bad experience on some location, right? So we get a bit frustrated. Oh, this is not working. So there are metrics that OpenRoaming applies. And of course, Wi-Fi has been improving a lot with the latest generations. But sometimes, let's be honest, there might be a storm and we lose some, backhaul because of some flooding. So we really need for those regular and edge cases to solve this. And if people, especially, is doing, video conferencing, if they are streaming, that really matters. How you keep the signal, constant, and the network health is monitored. So WBA, within our working groups, we are in a very advanced stage of coming up with this Connect info that allows information exchange between the device, the access point, and the owner of the identity. So City of Tokyo, City of London will know in real time if their users are connecting to their networks or international networks, if the quality is good enough, and define a threshold. So if it's not up to a certain level, they won't connect. So several use cases will arise, but hopefully this provides, the experience with the highest quality of service, which we believe is essential to move to even more advanced low latency applications in the future, such as moving vehicles and city management, among others. So exciting times, lots of innovation coming forward, and everyone can be part of it. We talked about technology, innovation, and what about adoption, right? So we need adoption. This is something that really needs to go into the field, and people around the globe need to find a network and start getting acquainted on how to use it. So as you can see on this example, not only from the public sector, but also on the private sector, it's possible to mute. But yeah, so as you can see, we have the public sector and we have the private sector here playing a very key role. So we have the examples from cities all over that are trying to improve the experience, but also the combination of private sector is very important. So we have this seamless experience, a few examples here across verticals. So banks, they are very broad in terms of their reach within a country. So for instance, this example in Brazil is going to provide countrywide coverage and solve some of the issues they have today in terms of user engagement. Adventist Health, in terms of healthcare, is a very interesting use case. So patients, once they are at the hospital, of course, they want the best medical service ever. But believe it or not, if connectivity is not good, they will rank the hospital low. So it's really, impressive how the numbers go up in terms of their seamless experiences here. Then, of course, supermarkets and retail. So this is the largest brand in the Netherlands. Lots of improvements on indoor coverage and also interacting with the user and increasing their revenues. And last but not least, event venues. Those have a very prominent relationship with communities. So people go in and out of the event, go back to the hotel. So Fira Barcelona, in fact, they had a big event, 40K people. And because they were using some automation, they got 30K plus people connecting automatically. So definitely the vision is in place right now. And what I would like just to share as well is the maps, the global maps. If you are interested, we launched a global visibility on where these open roaming networks are popping up. There's some crowdsourcing exercise involved here. So we are tracking hotspots globally. This has been growing rapidly. And in the end, if you are interested on how you can get your networks featured here, there's a process just to do that, a self-service Weigel solution. But yeah, very encouraging that now virtually once you travel and you search for some coverage in a certain location, it goes very, very well. Of course, we are still working in some regions like Africa and South America, but some leads there are coming. Okay, so we covered most of the status. We have an exciting technology, and the question comes, which companies really support it on the vendor side? So, and that's kind of one of the things we are quite excited about. We are announcing wide range availability of open roaming technology across more than 20 leading vendors in the industry. So we have been organizing a compliancy program in the WBA. So these vendors, they come live into an event with their equipment, they test it on a live network against equipment. And then if they pass the test plan, eventually they get their compliance. Every single compliance program, this keeps on growing. We just launched it about 16 months ago. So by having these vendors certified, I think the credibility of working with them, even if you pick up the equipment and you are assured that PassPoint Open Roaming will work, goes a long way in terms of not having to kind of redo your investments. So hopefully the infrastructure you have is already supported. The technology is not new. Open Roaming was built not so long ago, but the underlying technology that is PassPoint has been available for more than 10 years. So it was built with the concept that it would have to be ready the day after. And finally, where do we go from here? So yeah, let's deploy open roaming. So if you are a city, if you are a business, this is the typical network diagram and some ecosystem of players that can get you go forward. At the WBA, we want to move fast. We want to help you having a minimum viable product. We have some open source tools. So that's one way of doing it. If you have relationships with the previous vendors I mentioned, with some of the hubs or brokers that work here on this space, that's a fantastic way also to get started. So my invitation is, if you are, of course, a city, if you have public buildings, Wi-Fi infrastructure, look into the option of being an INP, open your network to the world in a secure, seamless way, lots of engagements opportunities. If you want to provide identities, also mechanisms to do it. You can use some type of certificates and have this kind of interaction with the user. And then you will get connected to the federation and see it working. I leave a link also to get a profile for open roaming. We will have a network at our next event in Dallas on May. If you don't live in a place where you have a dot on the map, that's a way for you to test it. And I think we are about on time. Just to mention that open roaming is evolving. We are working on private cellular, open roaming for IoT, the automated KOS. So you as an IT manager, I know that many technologies play a role here. So hopefully there will be a solution for you. So let me thank you again for your time. I look forward to discussing how we can work together to bring this vision to life. And I'll hand it over back now to Tiago. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruno. Great presentation. So if any of you has questions to Bruno, please drop them on the chat box. We'll try to cover it during the panel discussion. So moving on the agenda, next speaker is from the City of Westminster Council, David Wilkins, Head of Digital Smart Places. Welcome, David.
Thank you, Tiago, and apologies for my connectivity issues during Bruno's talk. I'm in a hotel in Liverpool at the moment, and both the cellular and the Wi-Fi has been quite patchy. I think they definitely need some open roaming here. And Sarah, thank you for sharing the slides. Can you make it full screen? Perfect. So, hi everyone. I'm David. I head up the Smart City team here at the council. Two areas of focus that are particularly relevant here that I have are around improving digital infrastructure within Westminster, so improving both fibre and mobile within the borough of Westminster, and that also covers kind of Wi-Fi as well. Also responsible for our digital inclusion programmes. Good connectivity is only as good as the ways that people connect and use it. So also have a responsibility to supporting our residents to access good connectivity, and these two areas come together on the Open Roaming project. So next slide, please. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of context about why we kickstarted this project here in Westminster. So since 2021, the UK has been experiencing kind of cost of living pressures. So that is deepening the digital divide. So we carried out some research with residents, we interviewed them, and it was amazing some of the stories we heard about people congregating around places with Wi-Fi to enable them to access their homework. And whole households were kind of supported via hotspots from mobile phones. And what we found was at the start of the month, residents have data. Towards the end, they run out and are unable to access digital services. We've also seen some impacts linked to kind of Brexit. So EU roaming has impacted, ending of EU roaming has impacted users, but also other countries across the globe can't kind of seamlessly roam affordably to UK networks. We also have mobile hotspots across the borough. So we have 1 million visitors a day. That puts huge pressure on the mobile networks. We also have lots of heritage buildings with really thick walls. It's really difficult for connectivity to penetrate. We also have those very modern buildings which act as a Faraday cage, which stop connectivity. But most of these locations have a Wi-Fi service that can connect users. We found that the typical investments in Wi-Fi has focused heavily on kind of investor returns, and those returns are typically the marketing opportunity and the data opportunity, and rarely are these networks deployed with users at the centre. And public Wi-Fi, although readily available across the city, connecting to that Wi-Fi can be time-consuming, distracting, and complicated for users. Next slide, please. And to demonstrate the kind of challenges of kind of public Wi-Fi, this is a Wi-Fi experience that you could have if you come to Westminster. This street here is Victoria Street. On the bottom left, you have Victoria Station. This is actually quite a seamless experience if you are, previous slide, please. Bottom left is Victoria Station. This is quite seamless, actually. It does integrate if you are a Vodafone customer directly. If you walk down the street to your local Costa, you're presented with a captive portal where you agree to some terms and conditions and then connect. Historically, at Westminster City Hall, you'd be again presented with a splash page. You'd have to agree and then you can connect. You then walk to our street markets. You're presented with a captive portal splash page, you input some information and that will get you connected, and then you walk to the local pub, and again you have to access a splash page, put some details in before you can get connected to the Wi-Fi and place your order. Next slide, please. So I think this really demonstrates how kind of fragmented the Wi-Fi experience is for people, and some people rely on that day to day. And we believe a more ideal experience is one where it's more akin to the mobile networks, where as you come into contact with a Wi-Fi access point, you automatically connect. So the experience across Victoria Street could be you arrive at Victoria Station, your credential automatically connects you. You then go to the coffee shop, you automatically onboard to that network, you come to City Hall and you seamlessly connect. And instead of there being captive portal splash pages, which from our research is a negative brand experience, we can start to kind of welcome people and provide relevant information, and that the provision of that information isn't a barrier, isn't a blocker to getting someone online. Next slide, please. So I did talk about user research. We carried out some user research via things like intercept interviews. So we talked to people who are digitally excluded. We also talked to visitors to London. And the biggest concerns that people have in relation to Wi-Fi networks is around the security of their data, but also who and how that data is used and shared. There was a general consensus that kind of increasing access to free Wi-Fi was felt to be really beneficial for both residents and visitors, and it improves kind of the experience and enables them to properly function in the city. So things like navigating using Google Maps, it could be staying in contact, it could be posting on social media. They felt having a good quality Wi-Fi network would support all of that activity. We presented the concept of open roaming, and there was overwhelming support for that concept. They felt that the sign-on process was really easy and it would not be an impediment to kind of joining networks. And I think rightly so, the people we stopped challenged us on our ambition. So we were looking at it from the concept of a Westminster-wide network. We are Westminster Council after all. But the feedback we got from users is this is something that should be London-wide and would be ideal for kind of a world city. Next slide. So in early 2024, we piloted and tested open roaming on our street markets. This is managed by Ontix, and the user experience was positive. But what we found as part of this process is the user experience was really difficult to communicate. We were asking people to connect in different ways, and we found Samsung experience was really positive. There was a different experience for an Apple user. So we felt we needed a kind of an easier and better way of kind of communicating to users how to use this new type of connectivity. We took the feedback on board about Westminster not being big enough or ambitious enough. So we presented our concepts to the GLA, London and partners who are joining us today, and Digital Poverty Alliance. And in summer, we received some funding from the GLA to pilot open roaming and to address some of the challenges around being able to communicate how to connect to open roaming. We felt the best way would be for us to create our own identity, which is Connected London Wi-Fi. And we've worked with a supplier, really valued their support, called Giglielmo. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And they've created us a web portal for Connected London Wi-Fi for us to test with users. And we went live back in January. We've got over 50 locations live across Westminster. And if this pilot is successful, which we hope it is, we'll be planning a London-wide rollout this year and next year. Next slide, please. I probably don't need to dwell on this slide because it's already been articulated well by one of the other speakers. But we see OpenRoaming, the easiest way to think of it is it's more akin to mobile connectivity. You never have to hunt around for your next cell tower to connect to. You seamlessly roam and connect. This is what OpenRoaming does. It finds compatible access points and makes it easy for a user to connect to it. Next slide, please. So this is a little bit about the pilot experience. So this is the Connected London Wi-Fi portal. This is where you kind of download and install your credential. So we were really clear. Well, users were really clear for us that we shouldn't be collecting lots of personal information. So at this point in time, the portal collects no email addresses, no personal identifiable information to download the profile. There's just a very simple connect now with then some instructions. And those instructions, the IDP Giglielmo have created bespoke guides depending on the operating system on the device. So the kind of experience is tailored to the type of user that's kind of onboarding, and they have some really interesting stats that actually, despite the extra steps that an Apple user has to go through, they actually have a better success rate on connecting via OpenRoaming, which we thought was testament to how well the experience is. But we've also kind of translated this guide into the 7 most commonly spoken language is in Westminster. So accessibility is key for us. And we've also kind of developed kind of audio, visual and written guides for users just to make it as simple as possible to connect. Next slide, please. So I talked a little bit about where it's available. So in Westminster, we've connected all council sites. So we've got libraries on board, council offices, we've got some medical centres, schools, and our street markets. And in total, that is 350 access points. And this is mapped on the right-hand side. Next slide, please. This is a little bit about performance. So we have rolled out OpenRoaming at this stage to quite a small footprint. So we're actually quite encouraged by some of this data. All in all, we've successfully authenticated over 500 users via the OpenRoaming credential. And we've had kind of over 1,600 profiles downloaded onto devices. This isn't kind of fully available across London, but as we expand the network to other areas, we'd expect more users will have the opportunity to connect to some of these networks. Next slide, please. So again, this was talked a little bit about by one of the previous presenters, and this is some data that we've captured. It's a few weeks old now, but this gives you some information about kind of where the Connected London Wi-Fi credential has been used to date. So we've seen Connected London Wi-Fi users seamlessly authenticate into Japan, Finland, Italy. It was used to connect at Mobile World Congress. We've seen it in America, Canada. So I think this helps to demonstrate some of the power of OpenRoaming is as more countries, as more kind of cities adopt this, the user experience will vastly improve. And we really love these stats. We've also seen credentials from Japan seamlessly authenticate onto networks in London as well. So it's a two-way thing. We have accepted users from other OpenRoaming identity providers onto our network. Next slide, please. So whenever kind of cities talk about kind of public Wi-Fi deployments, most press will jump to this city will be spending millions of pounds on access points and infrastructure. When we launched Connected London Wi-Fi, there was overwhelming support from the press about this concept, and we actually had some really kind of proper journalism done. Instead of just repeating our press release, we actually had some journalists going out testing Connected London Wi-Fi versus the mobile networks. And although our project is nothing to do with improving the quality of Wi-Fi networks, the Wi-Fi networks actually performed better than the mobile network in those spaces. So some really fantastic coverage. We've had a couple of LinkedIn posts from Sadiq Khan. So we're really encouraged by kind of lots of the kind of press and comms we've had about this. And we've also been approached by lots of other cities quite interested in kind of the adoption of open roaming. Next slide. So what are we doing next? So we're in the process of finalising a couple of reports for the GLA. One of them is focusing on our technical elements of implementing open roaming. And then the next one is focusing on the user experience and providing feedback about that. Those reports will input into the decision about whether we will be expanding Connected London Wi-Fi to more places. We are also looking at alternative methods of onboarding credentials. So we've got some conversations with a few major app providers in the London area to explore, can we integrate the Connected London Wi-Fi credential into those apps, so we can improve that provisioning journey for users and also reach a large audience quickly. So there's some of the future things that we'll be working on. We're also quite interested in exploring what are the wider opportunities for Connected London Wi-Fi. So are there any data benefits of not about individual people movements, but general people movements across the city to support with how we design our infrastructure, how we plan as a city. And then also quite interested in kind of whether location-based alerts that are specific to the location and a user's preferences, is that an acceptable form of advertising? Because in order for this to take off, we need to ensure not only that there's a value proposition from a user perspective, but there's also a value proposition for those that are investing in Wi-Fi networks in our city. And then finally, I think slides are going to be circulated after. So this is just something where you can download a profile. It would be great to see those of you going to Dallas. Unfortunately, I won't be going. I'm a council officer. It's very difficult to get travel. But if you're going over to Dallas, it would be great to see the Connected London Wi-Fi profile used to help authenticate you to networks. And if you've got any feedback, I've given you an email that you can contact. So that's my time. Are you back to Tiago?
Yeah, thank you, David. Fantastic case, lovely story. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, let's move on the agenda. So next speaker is Manabu Kumiya from the Tokyo Metropolitan Government. Manabu is the director of the Wi-Fi department at the Bureau of Digital Services. Unfortunately, right now it's past midnight in Tokyo, so Manabu was kind enough to provide us a recording of his presentation. So he's going to share with us the case study of the Tokyo Metropolitan Government on deploying open roaming.
Hello, I'm Manabu Komiya, the Wi-Fi Section Director at the Bureau of Digital Service in Tokyo Metropolitan Government. Thank you for taking the time today. I'm honored to have the opportunity to speak at the Connected Community Forum about our open roaming Wi-Fi initiatives. We are focusing on the safety and seamless connectivities of open roaming, and we are working on installation in public facility and promoting awareness in the private companies. Thank you, Tiago-san, for meeting with Miyasaka, Vice Governor of TMC, on January 31st this year. We look forward to continuing our cooperation with WBA. Now, I'd like to explain Tokyo Data Highway, the telecom infrastructure for Smart Tokyo. Next page. digital transformation is the key for people's quality of life and the competitiveness of cities. For realizing the Tokyo's version of Society 5.0 Smart Tokyo, the Tokyo Metropolitan Government will advance the Tokyo Data Highway, telecom infrastructure, as well as roads and railroad, etc. Next page. Smart Tokyo aims to enable Tokyo residents to render high-quality life through the digital technology and quality of service in fields such as disaster preservation, education, and industry, etc. The basic infrastructure to realize Smart Tokyo is Tokyo Data Highway, which is a road for radio wave such as Wi-Fi and 5G. Next page. We will accelerate the construction of a high-speed internet networks to build a data highway and realize a connected Tokyo that connects anyone, anywhere, anytime, in any situation via strategy and a 3-year action plan. Next page. Utilize multiply communication methods, a 3-level network of optical fiber such as submarine cable, internet such as Wi-Fi and 5G, and satellite communications enables secure connections. Next page. Since March 2023, the Tokyo Metropolitan Government has been developing OpenRoaming at Tokyo facility that many people use daily and during disasters, and at facilities inbound tourist visit. Next page. OpenRoaming is currently available at 859 Tokyo facilities, with the aim of expanding to 1,300 facilities. The number of access has grown rapidly to 7.2 million in February 2025 and expand further. Multiple subsidiaries are used for 175 facilities. We aim to expand to 700 facilities. Next page. In addition to 1,300 TMC facilities over the next 3 years, we will install OpenRoaming Wi-Fi in approximately 1,800 facilities using telephone booths and other things as assets in outdoor area where many people gather, specifically around major train stations and ports where many tourists visit. DMZ will enhance the convenience of tourists and upgrade the communication environment of OpenRoaming Wi-Fi, which can be effectively using during disaster and further enhance its presence as an international city. DMZ will enhance the convenience of tourists and upgrade the communication environment of OpenRoaming Wi-Fi, which can be effectively used during disasters and further enhance its presence as an international city. We would like to collaborate with WBA and major cities such as the City of London, Dublin, New York, to make OpenRoaming Wi-Fi available globally. Next page. The governor of Tokyo and telecom CEOs gather together every year to discuss the realization of Tokyo Data Highway. In October 2024, we held the 5th Tokyo Data Highway Summit under the theme of Capital City Defense from Disasters. That's it for explanation. Thank you all for listening. If you have the opportunity, please visit Tokyo. We look forward to seeing you and expanding OpenRoaming Wi-Fi together. Thank you.
So I just propose that we move on the agenda, and we pass immediately to the panel discussion. So let me invite my colleague Reza Jafari, advisor for the board of WBA and as well co-chair of the Connected Communities Forum. And I will invite David Wilkins to join us again, my colleague Steve Nam from the WBA, and as well Simon from the Great London Authority. Please join all of us live, and I will hand over to you, Reza, to drive us through the panel discussion.
Great. Thank you very much, Tiago. And I wanted to add my welcome and thank you, special thanks to each and every one of you, our panel members and the attendees. For those who have already submitted some questions through the chat or even during the registration, because this is going to really helping us to tailor this webinar and the presentation that the WBA has for the need and the purposes that you would like to benefit from. I'm going to start the questions focusing on the user experience that David just kind of wrapped it up with his presentation. I'd like to come back to Simon because you also are focusing on the user experience quite a bit. Can you share with us some of the things that you're doing also in London, but with different perspective and with a different view, the challenges that you're facing when it comes to connectivity and the user experience, especially with the visitors and the kind of people who are coming to London, they're not the permanent residents?
Thanks, Reza. And hi also, I'm Simon. I'm the Director for Destination at London & Partners. So we're the growth agency for London. So one of our key objectives is focusing on the visitor experience in London and making sure that that's the best it can be. We've done a lot of research in this area, and the visitor experience is quite a broad topic, but I think everyone can relate in terms of when you go on holiday, what are the things that make a great experience. So yes, you could see all of the amazing experiences and places there are here in London, but actually if there's some of those kind of hygiene factors that are just not there, then that's going to impact your overall experience. So yes, you can go onto the London Eye and take in the amazing views, but actually if you can't get there or you don't have internet connectivity, then that hampers your experience. So when you're navigating the city, as David said, when you're trying to post pictures of your vacation, when you're looking for a restaurant and food and drink and you're looking to experience the best of the city, when you're exploring new areas, internet connectivity is vital as part of that. So we've done a lot of research into looking at how visitors connect and how many visitors are connected when they're here. Of course, there's roaming plans, and we know that about 70% of visitors will connect either via their own roaming plan with their own provider or they'll buy a local SIM card or eSIM when they're coming here. But that still leaves a good chunk of visitors who are potentially not accessing connectivity when they're on the go. So they're reliant on Wi-Fi, or they're just a little bit overwhelmed and a little bit confused by the Wi-Fi offer and how they connect when they're here. And even those who are on mobile data, there's no guarantee that even when they're out and about, because of the not spots within the city, that they're going to have access. And particularly within a lot of the leisure tourism buildings, they're unlikely to be able to get mobile connectivity. So they're going to have to rely on the Wi-Fi experience again. So for us, that's very important. So we know that about 1 in 5 visitors are reliant on free Wi-Fi. So that's 4 million visitors each year. So part of this project, working with David and the team, was looking at this from a visitor angle and how we get more visitors to be able to connect.
Thank you, Sam. I'm going to ask, Sarah, if you don't mind, you want to take the agenda out, you might be able to have a bit better view of the panel members so we can all see each other, and then that might help again for you to be able to cue the video if you can't, you understand. I'm going to come to Steve. Steve, say you're in the middle of so much going on, of course, from the WEA perspective and the open roaming side. What is the view of the operators when it comes to the open roaming, and what benefits do you see for the operators as well as the end users, as Simon and David both talked about? If you can share that with us.
Sure, yeah. I'll deal with the users first. So I think sort of top line, the main benefits are geared around user experience. And I'm going to talk about how users can seamlessly onboard onto Wi-Fi and then roam between lots of different hotspots, regardless of what Wi-Fi equipment vendor there is or what type of device they're carrying as well. So like David was talking about during his presentation, it sort of makes Wi-Fi more like mobile, where you don't have to think about connecting and how you roam. That just happens with open roaming as well. So that's a big benefit. And I think users appreciate that benefit. But then also, particularly for public sector, I think when it comes to secure Wi-Fi and private Wi-Fi, it's very important. So open roaming as a technology standard and also as a legal framework, it leverages industry protocols and standards like passpoint technology to ensure quality, particularly in the enterprise grade, for example, like what exists in the Westminster network, but also standards or protocols such as PKI and RADSEC. So there are no open networks. Users' credentials won't be exposed. David mentioned earlier during his presentation about personal information being identified, and that can't happen within the open roaming framework as well. There are certain conditions, technical conditions, but also legal conditions that users have to sign up to as well. I also think from an operator's perspective, we're seeing some announcements, particularly in recent weeks. So there's one out today about AT&T and Carrier One, one of our both organizations are WBA members, and how they're offloading. I know AT&T is a bit of a veteran when it comes to not just Wi-Fi international roaming, but also Wi-Fi offload. So they've been very successful in augmentation of Wi-Fi and cellular together, and created some very nice packages, I think, for their subscribers as well. So we're seeing that. I just want to add on top of that, I believe that the MSO partners, cable operators in Europe, they're known MVNOs. There's opportunities there as well, because they're looking for ways to expand coverage and minimize costs. Simon was talking about when we visit places, actually things such as eSIMs, and we've seen this market grow. We have a few members that provide eSIM solutions, and WBA staff has been doing some experimentation in this area. So a few of us, for example, early in the year, were hosting our congress in Bangkok. We were traveling to Seoul and Tokyo, and we dabbled with eSIMs. And one thing that's apparent is we were connecting on the Tokyo open roaming network, and in fact, some of us with our London Westminster credentials. So whilst we were, for example, traveling to our meetings using Google Maps, very useful. But when we looked at, okay, well, there are going to be black spots of coverage, and maybe you want to get that eSIM solution. You need coverage. You need the internet connectivity in the first place. So that is where we see this sort of blending of mobile and Wi-Fi coming together. So, in this instance, we're able to tether, get it working that way, but that's not an ideal solution. And certainly, I think for a lot of sort of, lay people that aren't in technology, that's not something that they're going to be prepared to do as well.
Okay. Thanks, Steve. I'm going to come back to David. Your presentation, you were very, very elaborately again talking about the architecture and the benefits and the great things that you're doing in London. What comes to my mind of all the other potential users or people who would like to use the same technology, OpenRoaming, again, being able to connect it to the public Wi-Fi. How you're paying for it? Again, you talked about the press release, press coverage that you had in London when people are talking about millions of pounds being spent for the public. How the funding is being done for this, and what is your business model in terms of being able to have the continuity of the service and sustainability of the service as you move on?
Good question. And I think we've talked to various organisations about the model behind this. And I guess fundamentally, as a council, we're not investing a single penny on any additional infrastructure. This is infrastructure that already exists across the city. We have free Wi-Fi networks deployed by ourselves. NHS partners have free Wi-Fi. Our community halls have free Wi-Fi provided by Community Fibre. We have a free Wi-Fi network on the Tube. We have it delivered in shopping districts by museums and venues that you go to, all offer a free Wi-Fi experience for visitors to those venues. So the most expensive part about kind of public Wi-Fi in the traditional approach that cities have taken is the cost of the access points and the backhaul. Our approach isn't about investing in the that infrastructure. What we're providing, the fundamental problem that users face so the networks already exists. We're making it easier for them to be for users to seamlessly roam between them, and the cost differential of deploying all of those access points and authenticating a user. We're talking pence to authenticate a user, not the type of money that we need linked to kind of Wi-Fi deployment. So I think we've kept the economics low because we're focusing on kind of encouraging people to utilize their network.
Thank you. So, Simon, I would like to kind of ask the same question with a bit of a twist, especially since you're focusing on the visitors as well, because as you know, visitors would like to have access to a lot of things from healthcare to restaurants to shopping areas. How would you and your users are being incentivized to use it, and the people who would be putting their services on the kind of the same platform and the same network? Have you seen any advertising models or freemium models that has been used from your experience?
I think that's an area for us to start to look into, as David said. I think getting the operators, the owners of the Wi-Fi channels to sign up to OpenRoaming. We know from our initial consultations that yes, everyone's quite protective of getting data. However, a lot of that, when you ask what they do with that data and what is the value of that data, actually very few people are actually maximizing the use of that data if they're using it at all. And a lot of organizations, hotels, 9 times out of 10, they're already going to have their customer data from other channels and much richer data sets. So actually, I'm not sure how strong the data proposition is from a business perspective when you look into the realities of it. However, there's definitely I don't want to call it an emotional barrier, but there's definitely a barrier for us to overcome there. But I think one of the things that we'll be looking at is, yes, they may lose some data specific to their business, well, what's the bigger data potential that they can tap into? What data can we give them from a London perspective in terms of a much broader audience? So looking at that anonymized data across the piece, looking at people movements that are tapping into the Wi-Fi, but still giving them that personal message. So as David showed, they're still having that engagement that welcome to Costa Coffee or welcome to Hilton Hotels. They're still getting that presence, but ultimately they're thinking about it from the user experience. And a lot of the industry in London now are much more focused on the user and the visitor experience. And I think they recognize that actually, if their visitor doesn't have access to the internet, then they're not going to be as happy as they could be. A lot of the venues here, a lot of the historic and amazing attractions, I struggle to get on mobile connectivity as a Londoner. Actually, if we've got visitors who are just roaming around, they don't have to log into 9 different things. They're going to spend more time in your venue, potentially spend more money whilst they're there as well. So that's something that we'll tackle as part of the next rollout phase.
Great, thank you, Simon. Steve, from your perspective, again, those who are starting doing the pilot phases or the proof of concept phase, do you see any value in the push part of the service? Because Simon talked about, again, the data is being made available to the service providers or hotels or shopping malls or other products or services that they would like to be available to the end user. But what is there on the pull side? What about on the push side? If they can push their product and their services through the kind of the same platform, have you seen any examples of those, or have you seen any benefit on those sides?
From a sort of a Wi-Fi in general and open roaming perspective, what I have seen, particularly from enterprises, and this is sort of building a little bit on what Simon shared, data can be important, but also user engagement can be important. So when we talk about, for example, open roaming, there is technically the capability to still engage with the user. So we've written some guidelines, some documents that sort of demonstrates how that can be achieved as well. But that is something that we see as is very important for the roadmap of open roaming as well. Things such as protocols such as Catport API, which allow, for example, the venue to engage with the user sort of post when the user has connected. It is technically feasible, and that's something that we're keen to explore further as well. Okay? Just building on something that Simon added as well, I think that the need or the desire sometimes for a venue or for an enterprise to have access to data, we've seen that. Again, I say, okay, what do they do with it? We've seen in the UK some very significant large Wi-Fi operators that have 15,000 plus enterprise locations across department stores, coffee shops, etc. That was part of their model, but it wasn't sustainable for them as well. So maybe they were a little bit early in the market, but that it hasn't sort of, I would say, sort of come to fruition in terms of that data interrogation and how you can monetize it as well. But with that said, the identity providers, for example, can collect a lot of data through the Wi-Fi standards that we've created. So that exists there, so you can understand, users, patterns, where they are, even things around the performance of the network. So you can draw to some intelligent, business decisions about, for example, where you want to improve your network, expand your network, and so on as well.
I'm going to ask the question from David and then probably question from Simon, because you seem to be playing in the same sphere and in the space, and that is the quality of the service from the end user's perspective. I don't know that David, are you still on? Or?
I am here. I think I saw something in the chat about I might want to switch my video off because of the bandwidth. So I have switched
that's
up.
okay. Is that a comfortable time for you, or you wanted to wait for?
No, happy to.
Okay, yeah, because I was as you know, when my cable service, your cable service goes out, you have one phone number that you can call. You don't call the BBC. You don't call again the channel 4. You call the cable provider. You tell them that my program is not working, or I have some problem with my service. From your user perspective and the end user perspective, what kind of a quality of service you provide, and what is the kind of a point of contact that they need to make from your perspective, from your side, and as well as, again, I'm going to ask the same question from Simon.
So from our perspective, so OpenRoaming is quite a complex thing. You've got lots of different players. So we are playing a couple of different roles in that ecosystem. We are a network provider. So we provide access network at council buildings. But we also, the OpenRoaming Connected London Wi-Fi credential will connect you to networks that aren't managed by ourselves. So the kind of position that we've taken in this is for any kind of network issues, the existing mechanisms in which you would raise those issues would be used. So if you're in a Westminster City Council library, you would contact the library about that network issue. If you've got issues in relation to a venue outside of Westminster City Council's network, you would go to that venue. I guess it does make troubleshooting harder. I mean, is it an IDP issue? Is it a network issue? I don't think we've fully worked that out because we haven't really kind of operated at that scale. But so far, we haven't had too many issues come through. And I think it's quite common in the Wi-Fi network providers that we're talking to. We're not seeing a huge amount of users struggling to connect to Wi-Fi and calling helplines and things like that. So that's just our perspective. But I think, that is something that will need to be looked at. Our stance is it is the specific venues that look after the network, and they're the people that should be contacted in the event of an outage.
Okay, I'm going to kind of ask a quick question from Simon as well, too, in the same area, and as well as the security side. What are the protocols that you're helping the end users to have in terms of their security? And then I'm going to pass it on to Tiago, because he would like to add some comments.
Yeah, I mean, the security is a key piece, and having that trust. So I think as part of the larger rollouts, there's not just how many of the operators can we get on board, and can we get the scale across the city so that when someone lands at Heathrow Airport, they connect, and then when they're roaming around, they're automatically connecting. But people need to be aware of the service as well. So to David's point, looking at it as a citywide proposition, so the Connected London, making sure that visitors understand that that's available, they understand who's providing that service. So we've already got some kind of trust stamps with the Mayor of London logo on there, but ultimately that's a communications piece. So talking to visitors pre-arrival, we run a large tourism website, visitlondon.com, so we reach 17 million visitors each year. So talking to them about London is a connected city, and it's a welcoming city, and it almost becomes a bit of a sell from a tourist proposition perspective, that actually they don't need to worry about roaming costs and how they're going to connect, and they can look out for the Connected London logo.
Great, thanks. Tiago, back to you.
Yeah, thank you, Reza. I just want to bring up a few questions that are on the Q&A chat. Some of them are for you, David, the other ones as well for Simon. So first question is about how users are getting the OpenRoaming credentials into their devices. I think this is for you, David.
Yeah, so today users get the Connected London credential via a web portal. So on my slides, there was a QR code linked to that. The web portal has been designed with bespoke experiences for different types of users. I think I mentioned in my talk, if you're an Android user, you get presented certain guide. If you're an Apple user, you get a different guide. But one of the things that we believe is that can be improved by us integrating that experience into existing apps. And we're having a few conversations about kind of how we integrate it into very popular apps. So people can provision that credential and then seamlessly connect to networks in London. We're in the early stages of that, but should the pilot go ahead, that's one of the things that we want to do, because we believe that will really support kind of onboarding credentials.
Yeah, thank you, David. One more question to you. So what's the greatest barrier to bringing a network into the pilot?
I think we've talked a little bit about this. I think lots of people who deploy Wi-Fi networks are they really like the data that they're capturing. I don't think OpenRoaming prevents that data capture. You still get kind of footfall data from the access points. So I don't necessarily think that's something that can't be overcome. But I think we need to talk about the opportunity Connected London Wi-Fi could bring around the visibility of footfall beyond your own Wi-Fi network. So if you think from a council perspective, I can see the number of people at a library as an example, but I don't know where they go when they leave that library. So there's that opportunity to look at footfall trends and things like that. And that type of analysis for councils was so important during COVID. And I think this could be a really valuable kind of data set. The other challenge, and again, it's been touched upon, is lots of brands are wedded to kind of that captive portal and the opportunity to present your brand. But I think that experience is a negative one if it's a barrier to someone getting online. I think if that can change, and I think we've talked about Catport API and a few other technologies where you arrive at the venue, automatically connect to the Wi-Fi, and you can use that Wi-Fi, but you're presented with click here for the menu to order your drinks. I think that's a more positive experience than that. And I think fundamentally what we need to do is we need to engage users in this. And I think a successful implementation of OpenRoaming will be a compromise between what users want and what access network providers want. And I think if we can find a happy medium in the middle, I think users will be happy with the Wi-Fi experience, and network providers will be getting what they need. And I think a barrier to OpenRoaming being rolled out in more cities, I think some of the conversations we've had with cities, I think there's different things that you can turn off in the OpenRoaming credential. One thing that I think will be quite interesting to explore is roaming in between cities where there's a really high kind of data standard, where user data is not monetized, it's kept secret, it's not used to track at an individual level. And I think if there's a way in which that can be embedded into the profile and the authentication process, I think some cities would be more willing to embrace this. I think there is a lot of cynicism of some tech providers who capture large amounts of data about users. And I think if we can kind of develop IDPs or identity provision that enables that ethical to ethical roaming, I think that could be quite an interesting thing to explore.
Yeah, thank you, David. One last question, and I will pose to Simon. People are asking, what is the success criteria of the project for the Greater London?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, the overall outcome is that we improve connectivity for visitors. I think if you search for London connectivity and look at our standings in the league tables and our reputation and the perception of London, it's not a good place for us to be. So improving that, and Wi-Fi is one part of that, along with the mobile connectivity as well. But bringing it more into this project, I think obviously getting as many networks as we can signed up, but those networks with large footprints, so Transport for London, for example, and the whole metro tube network here. And then what I'd like to do, going back to David's point, is to almost long term, I think if we can disconnect the association of free Wi-Fi and the data side of things and talk about the broader data offer, but from my perspective, if we can actually demonstrate that more people are now connecting to the network because it's easier, because they don't have to log in, and they're automatically connected when they get there. As a result of that, if we can then demonstrate that people who are connected are more likely to stay longer and dwell longer within those venues, then there's a business benefit as well as a user benefit as well as a city benefit as well. I think that's the ultimate outcomes that we need to be driving to.
I'm sorry we do not have much more time for the continuation of our discussion. I'm sure that we'll be able to respond to all the questions that came through the chat room or the questions, and we'll be responding to all of us, again, attendees of the conference. I just wanted to say thank you to our panel members, each and every one of you, and turn it to Tiago for your final remarks. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Reza. In fact, we are over the time of the webinar. So as Reza said, all the questions will be answered offline. We have your contacts for the registration. The recording of the webinar will be available as well to all of you. Will be posted on the WBA website. Once more, hope that you found this webinar useful. Feel free to reach out to any of us that participated on this session. And thank you, Simon, David, Reza, Steve, and Bruno for participating on the webinar. And thank you, all of you, for attending. Hope you enjoy it and see you soon.